A black student walked into class, clutching her backpack, unaware her life was about to change. She thought today was about grades, but the teacher had other plans. He accused her of cheating in front of everyone, branding her a fraud. The class laughed. Some stayed silent, but none defended her. What he didn't know, this student wasn't ordinary. She had proof no one could deny, and when she revealed it, the entire classroom gasped. Naya Carter walked into the classroom clutching her worn backpack, her braids tied back neatly and her notebook tucked under one arm. It was exam day, and the room buzzed with quiet tension. Desks lined in neat rows, fluorescent lights humming faintly overhead, and the clock ticking far too loud. She slid into her seat near the window, offering a small smile to her best friend, Maya, who sat 2 desks over. Maya gave a thumbs up, whispering, "You got this." Naya had studied for weeks, flashcards, late nights, even skipping basketball practice. For her, this test wasn't just another grade. It was the last big step before her scholarship application went in. The bell rang. Mr. Whitman strode into the room, tall, silver hair slicked back, pressed shirt tucked sharply into his trousers. His reputation was clear, respected, feared, and sharp-tongued. He laid the stack of graded exams on his desk with deliberate weight, the thud echoing like a warning. Students stiffened, a cough, the scrape of a chair leg. "Some of you," Whitman said, his voice slicing through the silence, "impressed me. Others, not so much. But one paper stood out." He lifted a single exam between his fingers. The red-inked A+ gleamed at the top like a spotlight. Maya leaned forward, whispering to Naya, "That has to be yours." Whitman's eyes swept the class before they landed, sharp as knives, on Naya. "This paper," he said, his tone twisting, "belongs to Naya Carter." Heads turned, whispers rippled. Naya straightened in her chair, trying to keep her breathing steady. But then Whitman's lips curled into a smirk. "And it's a fraud." The room froze. Even the clock seemed to hold its tick. "What?" Naya whispered, her voice barely audible. Whitman walked slowly, deliberately down the aisle, exam in hand. He stopped at Naya's desk, holding it just out of her reach. "You expect me to believe you wrote this?" His voice boomed now, echoing off the walls. Perfect structure, advanced reasoning, citations beyond even college-level work? No, not you. Gasps spread. Someone in the back muttered, "Oh, damn." Another stifled a laugh. Naya's throat tightened. She forced herself to speak. "I did write it. Every word. I studied." "Enough," Whitman snapped, slamming the exam onto her desk. "You cheated. You copied. Don't insult my intelligence." Her eyes burned, but she refused to let tears fall. Maya shifted in her seat, fists clenched, but fear kept her quiet. Whitman turned to the class, pacing like a prosecutor before a jury. "Let this be a lesson," he announced. "There are students who try, and then there are students who take shortcuts, pretend, steal the work of others. Today, we expose that." Phones were out now, subtle under desks, recording. A few students whispered, others leaned forward, hungry for drama. Naya sat frozen, rage and humiliation boiling under her skin. She had fought stereotypes her entire life, being told she wasn't smart enough, serious enough, the type. And now, in front of her entire class, she was branded a liar. Whitman placed both hands on her desk, leaning in so only she could hear. "You don't belong in my classroom," he hissed. Her fists clenched, her breath trembled, but her eyes stayed steady. "I belong here," she said, voice low but firm. Whitman straightened, laughing coldly. "We'll see about that." The bell rang, the tension snapping like glass shattering. Students rushed out, buzzing with gossip. Some glanced back at Naya with pity, others with judgment. Maya stayed behind, sliding into the seat beside her. "You can't let him get away with this." Naya exhaled, finally letting her hands unclench. "I won't. Outside the window, the sun blazed bright against the campus courtyard, but inside, the storm had only begun. The next day, the classroom was fuller than usual. Word had spread fast. Nia Carter accused of cheating, Mr. Whitman ready to prove it. Students crowded the room, some sitting on the edge of desks, others leaning against the back wall, waiting for the showdown. Nia walked in with her backpack slung over one shoulder, face calm but eyes sharp. She knew everyone was watching. She knew whispers followed her like shadows. But she also knew the truth. Maya squeezed her hand before she sat down. "You ready?" Nia nodded once. Whitman entered moments later, carrying a laptop under his arm and a smug smile on his lips. "Good," he said. "You're all here. Perfect." He set the laptop on his desk, clicked a few keys, and projected the exam onto the whiteboard. "Class," he announced, "today we learn about academic honesty. We compare the work of an accused student with the sources she borrowed from." Murmurs spread. Whitman clicked again, showing a website filled with advanced essays. "This," he said, "is where I believe Miss Carter found her inspiration." Gasps. A few students exchanged looks. Nia stood. "I didn't copy anything." "Sit down," Whitman barked. "You've embarrassed yourself enough." But Nia didn't sit. She stepped forward, voice steady. "Then test me, right now. Ask me anything from that paper." The room stilled. Students leaned in. Even Maya's eyes widened. Whitman chuckled, shaking his head. "You expect me to—" "Ask me," cut in, louder this time, "unless you're afraid." That word, afraid, hung in the air like a spark before a fire. Whitman's jaw clenched. He turned to the board, scanning the essay. "Fine. Explain the economic ripple effects of post-war reconstruction, without notes." Nia didn't blink. "The ripple effects aren't just financial," she said. "They reshape societies. When industries rebuild, labor markets shift. Families displaced by war migrate, creating cultural blending but also tension. And foreign aid? It strengthens alliances, but creates dependency if mismanaged. That's why I argued in the paper that sustainability must outlast charity." The room was silent, dead silent. Whitman's smirk faltered. He tried again. "Define Keynesian multipliers and apply them to infrastructure recovery." Nia stepped closer to the board, picking up a marker. She wrote the formula, clear and precise, then explained, "It's not just about numbers, it's about momentum. When governments invest in rebuilding bridges or railroads, they create jobs. Those workers spend wages locally, and that cycle multiplies. That's why post-war economies that invested in infrastructure grew faster." Murmurs erupted. A student in the back whispered, "She's killing it." Another started recording openly. Whitman's face flushed. "Anyone can memorize." "Then give me a new problem," Nia shot back. "Not from my essay, something fresh." The challenge landed hard. Students' eyes flicked between them, tension building like a drawn bow. Whitman hesitated, then spat, "Fine. Analyze the economic collapse of 2008 in under 1 minute." Nia didn't flinch. Housing bubble burst, banks over-leveraged, risky loans repackaged as safe investments. When homeowners defaulted, the system crumbled. But here's the real issue. Oversight failed. The lesson isn't just about markets, it's about accountability, which is what's missing here. Gasps, a ripple of applause, phones up everywhere. Whitman's mouth opened, then closed. His face turned crimson. For the first time, his authority cracked. Nia faced the class now, not him. "I studied. I earned that grade. But instead of celebrating hard work, some people assumed I couldn't, that I had to cheat. Because of who I am. Because of what I look like." Her voice was strong now, filling the room. "That's the real lesson today. Assumptions don't equal truth. Evidence does." The room erupted, clapping, cheers, students on their feet. Maya's eyes shimmered with pride. Even students who had doubted her before now looked at Nia with awe. Whitman stood frozen, humiliated, exposed before his own class. Naya returned to her seat, calm as ever. She didn't need his approval anymore. She had something louder, the truth, spoken in front of everyone. The bell rang, but no one moved. The moment was already etched into memory. And for the first time, Naya smiled. The classroom sat frozen, whispers darting across rows, every eye locked on the teacher who had just been exposed. His pride crumbled, his authority shattered, while the student he tried to humiliate stood tall, proof in her hand. Respect isn't given, it's earned, and today the truth won. If that moment hit you as hard as it hit them, subscribe right now to Unknown Stories, because we uncover real power in unexpected places.